So you were out plowing snow today or riding around in the snow or maybe the mud. It's Wisconsin. It's 10 degrees here right now, so I've been using my wheeler for plowing. Discovered the on-demand four-wheel drive didn't work, so the front wheels didn't work. So after doing some research, watching several YouTube videos, I decided to make my own video and compile everything I learned into one video for you guys, and hope this helps you out. So here's what you got. So your front wheels drive on this clutch. There's a plate behind it, and right here is a magnetic coil. And there's two wires, your hot wire and your ground wire, runs up to the circuit board. So if you're looking for electrical power first, you want 12 volts going to that magnetic coil. Well, you probably pulled your cover off the gas tank like I've got, looked at your wiring harness and said, what the hell? What kind of mess do I got here? How do I figure that out? So I'm going to show you what you need to look for, how to simplify everything. I'm going to make it easy for you. So first thing you want to do, and this is for 91 to 94 Polarises. I've got a 91. But you get up to 97, 98, some of this should apply. Just the circuit board will be different. First thing you do, turn your key on, shift it into drive, because you've got wires going down to your transmission. It's a gear selector. It brings power to the four-wheel drive. You hit your on-demand button. Power goes back down to the circuit board. So first thing you want to do is the wires coming off the switch for the on-demand, they're both gray. One's gray and white. So I wanted to make sure I had power going to that, and also power going from the switch to the coils. So you take your red lead off your meter and you plug it into the gray wire. So this is for video purposes only. I'm not going to be able to hold this and do this. And then you take your black lead or your black prong, hook it to something brown. In your panel here, this is all brown, and it should read 12 volts. So you know you got power going to the switch. Now you want to know if you've got power going after the switch to the coil. So you take your red prong, plug it into the gray. The gray is hot, the brown is neutral. You see a lot of guys, there's videos out there where they take all their brown wires off their coils, they tie them together, and then they ground them out. That might work if you've got a ground issue. I don't have that issue. So what I end up doing is, now I've got my on-demand switch on, hooking up the red prong to the wire going down to the coil and to a ground. And it should read 12 volts. Well, I didn't have 12 volts. So first problem, switch is bad. So this is what I did. Just temporarily cut the two wires. Basically what happens is electricity comes up hot to the switch. Once you flip the switch, it closes the circuit. Then power goes back down, goes to the wire I showed you, down to the coil pack. So I cut the wires, tied them together. I got power. So the next step would be, I like to simplify things. Pull your hub off. Like I said, this is your clutch. There's a plate behind it. And when there's power to the magnet that holds the metal plate, and there's little tabs, there's little tabs in the clutch, and that grabs the clutch, spins it, makes your front wheels drive. So I'm going to pull this off. There's that plate. So how the magnetic coil works is when there's power to this, it acts like a magnet, grabs this plate, locks it tight, and spins your clutch. As you can see, with the power on, it's not working. So I'm going to show you one more little shortcut. I was tracing my lines down, and somebody had messed with this already. They already had spliced it in. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to show you a shortcut. You want to bypass any wiring issues. You want to find out if the magnetic coil actually works. Take a 12-volt battery. Now, my brown wire looks red. So if this happens to you, make sure you don't get confused. Remember, the gray is hot, brown is ground. So if you take I got my little hook up here. Hook that, the ground. And then you hook. I'm trying to hold the camera and do this at the same time. So you would hook that directly to the battery, twist them together. Then you can check to see if it works. Okay. So I've got my wires hooked up. I've got direct power from a battery to my wires on my magnetic coil. And this is a good way to test out if your magnetic coil is working. So you take the plate that was off the back of the clutch. Okay. It's not sticking, it's not doing anything. So that's telling me I got possibly a bad magnet. Okay, there's one more test you can do on your coil. So the way your coil is this center ring stays with the strut. This outer ring moves in and out, and in the center is a magnet. So, according to the manual and things I've seen on YouTube, take a flat piece of metal, you take a feeler gauge, and go in between the outer ring and the inner ring. Make sure your flat piece of metal goes straight across, and you're checking for gap. This should be completely flush or within a thousandths of an inch gap. If it's over a thousandths of an inch gap, it kind of demagnetizes itself. If you don't have a nice flat surface for it to stick to, it's not going to stick. So I've already checked mine. Mine is completely flush. Got everything laying here. And once again, this does not stick. So another thing to check for is make sure that this slip ring is not deformed in any way. I found out that mine had a little curvature to it. This is actually my replacement ring. I got a used one. Mine had a little bend in it, so that wasn't good. And my old clutch was pretty worn out on the back side, so that was shot. So I got some used parts from a buddy of mine. This is the clutch, the ring, and I know my magnet's shot. So I went out and bought myself a new magnetic coil. Probably post a video on how to do that. So anyway, I'm gonna show you the schematics and a little breakdown, and it'll help you be able to test out your electrical.